In the next hour, we want to put a smile on your face, elevate your endorphins, and bring you happiness. Welcome to Say Yes, Be Happy with Nathalie Botros. We spend so much of our lives chasing happiness, it might just be where you least expect it to be. Nathalie and her guests are going to show you how and where to find it. And now, your host, Nathalie Botros.
Welcome, everyone. It's me, Nathalie, the Bon Vivant Girl. I'm your host, and welcome to my podcast, Say Yes, Be Happy, where each week I take another subject of our daily life, and we always find the silver lining in it, the happy, the positive in it. This week, we're going to talk about something completely different than what we always talked. It's about unboxing the real you and connecting with your inner senses. And I have a special guest who's live streaming from Dubai. It's her evening time, so she's like ready for us. Let me introduce you to her. Having trained as a holistic therapist and named 3 times as one of the best 100 psychics in the world for nearly 30 years, she has been helping a global outreach of clients. She's also a highly successful internet presence as a life coach columnist and online intuitive life mentor. She is an intuitive life mentor who helps you restart or ignite your life into greater creativity and joy, connecting you with your inner senses. Please welcome my guest, Sahar Huneidi Palmer. Hi, Sahar.
Hi, Nathalie. So good to see you. It's been such a long time. We haven't seen each other.
I know. I think like the first time like we were trying to figure out before the show, it was like 10, 15 years ago that we're interacted. Actually, yes. I contacted Sahar years ago and she would read my coffee cup.
Yes.
But I mean, like she was not just reading a coffee cup. She was going really beyond. And we could see that she had like that intuitive psychic abilities. And she also helped a lot of my friends in the process. So now you even develop yourself. So let's start from the beginning. You know, you're professional psychic. How did you do the switch from professional psychic to life mentoring?
Okay, first of all, let me say thank you. It's a great pleasure of mine to be on your show. I am so impressed with your success. I know you throughout the years, and then to suddenly hear you're in New York and you have this amazing show, it really thrills me. So thank you, Nathalie. And I'm so impressed with all this technology.
Well, guys, in case you want to know, Sahar predicted all this for me. She predicted my book. She predicted like that I was in the public eye. And I was like, damn, she's right.
Well, you know me as a psychic. I worked as a professional psychic for many, many years. And my clients still are absolutely great. They took everything seriously. They kept asking me, when do I come for the next reading? And I always said, come when things have happened, because the idea is to guide people, but not to get them hooked on getting psychic readings. So they would come back, even, male executives. I mean, they would come back with the paper, because I always say, listen to your reading. Sometimes when you have a reading, you don't expect to hear what you need to hear. You want to hear what you want to hear. So you miss a few points. But when you listen to it later, over the years even, things begin to happen. So they would come back and say, okay, tick, this has happened. This cross, this has not happened. Why hasn't it happened? And the why hasn't it happened increased, and they became more and more that I really had to ask myself, because most people think the coffee or the tarot is a predictive tool, but it really isn't. It's a self-development tool, because you can only say the bright picture, but you don't know when it happens, because the person who controls the timing is you. So I had to ask myself those questions. How do we make things happen? What controls timing, or what dictates timing? What do we need to do to make this happen? So I went through self-development myself. I went through a 4-year holistic therapy course where I was practicing as a holistic therapist. And then recently, a couple of years ago or so, I brought all of that under one umbrella that I call Unbox Mentoring. So people kept coming back, but they really didn't want the predictive stuff. They really wanted to learn how they can make things happen for themselves. And I think it's so empowering when you know nothing is pre-written in stone. So what you hear in a prediction is a probable future. But if you do nothing, nothing will happen. It will just be a fantastic reading.
Exactly.
That's the angle that I became passionate about. You know,
I
how
think,
do we...
yeah, a lot of people, you know, they said, if my future tells me that I'm going to be successful, so I can just sit and watch TV and wait to be successful. Exactly. So what is the difference? Explain us, you know, like the difference in the similarity, basically.
Between?
I mean, like, for the fact that it's not because you say that they're going to be successful in life.
Yeah, it's the basic law of motion. You know, every action has an equal reaction. So if you don't do anything, you don't build up the momentum, you don't cause anything to happen. So it's cause and effect. So if you sit there waiting for the lottery to happen, well, it could not. But in the meantime, you've wasted time instead of actually living your life. So it is about action. It is about clearing your intention. What is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to achieve? And why? What is your motivation? And if you align these three, you will not lose track of who you are. Because what happens as we achieve some goals and we have some success, our core values will change. You know, maybe it's not about working 24 hours a day. Maybe it's not about piling the money. Maybe I want to be happy. You know, you teach people how to be happy. So happiness became a core value. We want that feeling of fulfillment. You know, I mean something. I have an impact. My life has a purpose. And then as we grow, as our awareness grows, then we become aware that there's a bigger purpose to our lives. We can play a bigger role. And I think all of us as humans strive to do that, strive to express and understand, how do we fit in this big picture? Why am I here? What is my purpose?
Yeah. So you take all this and you created this program called Unboxing, and you even have Unbox Academy. So how do you, I mean, what I love fascinating is that you use your abilities to go deeper in one person, because like people, like there are a lot of coaches out there, holistic coaches, they can kind of have an idea about their clients out, you know, like whatever the client gives. You see what the client doesn't tell you as well. There's no escape.
You have a feeling, because, you know, I also did healing. We did bioenergetic healing as part of the holistic therapy. So you can see auras, you can feel somebody's speaking, in different ways, but you tune into them. And when you tune, you get a feeling of what is the underlying issue. For example, I had a client who could not figure out what is it that she wants to do in life. So there was a yearning, you know, how do I find my own unique expression? We sorted that out, but in the process, I realized there was something amiss in her marriage. It wasn't a bad marriage, but they weren't communicating anymore, as what happens with most couples. You know, they kind of like sit back and life takes over and they forget to keep nurturing their relationship. So I hinted at that and she said, no, it's not an issue. But when we scratched beyond the surface, it was an issue. So sometimes what you don't think holds you back, and unless you come out of the box and face it, it's always going to come back and hit you, always, because, you know, these things don't disappear. It's part of who you are. So it may go for a while and then it will swing back when you least expect it, and you have to deal with it.
Yeah, it makes sense. So let's say I'm coming to you as a client, as a patient. How it works? Like, I'm going to come to you, you're going to first do prediction. Like, tell us like the steps that you go through to, you know, like your style of life mentoring, basically.
Yes, I have an assessment, an online assessment. If you are unhappy or unsatisfied, with any area of your life, when you answer the assessment, I will know why. I can tell what issue or what aspect of you is out of alignment, what I call out of alignment. And then we have a 40-minute discovery session, which is absolutely complimentary. And we try and figure out, expand on your answers. And then by then, I know how your mentoring program will go. So we can schedule the right package for you, you know, be a few sessions or extended sessions. And then we go through that. In the session, I always start by tuning in, and I can tell whether a person has made progress or not and where they are stuck. And then we address that. It's a very interactive process. I also teach them the right tools, because what really interests me is to get somebody on their feet, not to have them come back again, because what you want to do is empower people, not make them feel, oh, unless I see her, I don't know what to do with my life.
Yeah.
That I feel is not empowering. And I get really happy when somebody, takes the stuff in their hands and they can really manage their life. So that's the process. I also do what I call life readings, because sometimes people need to step back and see the big picture. And when I do a life reading, which is a long-term reading, so you only need one a year.
Yeah.
And, some of my clients come back, especially the ones who know me for some time, they come back and they have some on the new year or on their birthday to kind of see what the general trends are. And sometimes when we see the big picture, intuitively, it allows us to zero in, know what our priorities are, and then where do we begin from? So that way you never get lost, you never get imprisoned in a box that you think, oh, I can't do that. What is my purpose? I'm bored now. Especially as we get older, we're married, we have children, and then you wonder, okay, so many years pass by, and then, okay, what about me now?
Of course.
So at different stages, we need different things. And the life reading can give that guidance because it gives the overall picture. But, I always kind of combine them when people need them or when they feel they're ready to know what their plan is.
That's great. And you also talk about the 4 dimensions of change. So you touch like different dimensions. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So if you get stuck, it's because something is out of alignment. Now, being human is really complex. So I found a way to simplify it. Whatever therapy, whatever you can think of, can really fit under one of 4 dimensions. So I call it the pyramid of awareness. And at the bottom of the pyramid is the first dimension, which is the physical body. So if you did not have a physical body, you would not be alive. You would not be living your life. So your physical body is like the hardware. It holds everything, the memory of all your experiences, whatever you went through, how you feel, it's your chemistry, everything. The next level up is your emotions, because if you think of a child or an infant when we're first born, we don't have an intellect, but we have a physical body. So the physical body picks up on these sensations, like I'm hungry, it's cold. We react to it emotionally. And if the same thing keeps repeating, then we begin to think about it. So we begin to form our belief system. So the next layer up is the mind or the belief system. So then you make a belief, you begin to form a belief. If that belief is not looked into when you get older, then you have an image or a belief system that you carry around, which causes a lot of heartache and a lot of negative experiences until you upgrade that belief and say, okay, that was when I was young, when I didn't have an intellect. Now I need to create new belief system. And then that decision is an action. So the final step is action and accountability to action. Because the objective here is to move you from a victim mentality to an empowered co-author of your life. So I call it BIMA: body, emotions, mind, accountability to actions. You have to bring these 4 aspects into alignment. So it's no good going to a therapist, for example, where you do regression and you release an emotion. Great. But that emotion, those 4 dimensions are interactive. Yeah. So your body will affect how you feel. How you feel will affect your belief system. Your belief system will dictate your decisions. And the opposite is true. Any decision you make will co-create or form or enforce a belief system. That belief system will charge you up emotionally. If these emotions are out of alignment or out of balance, they will affect your physical body, your health, even your aging process. So you can go up the pyramid or down the pyramid, but essentially these 4 elements need to be in alignment. You need to be aware of your body, of emotions, which ones are holding you back, your belief system, which beliefs are outdated, they no longer serve you, and to hold yourself accountable for everything that you do, you think, and you feel. Because unless you say, I'm in charge of my life, you will always relinquish the responsibility and the power to someone else. And in that instant, the client is uncoachable if they think everything is the product of their circumstance rather than the way they react.
No, it's true. It's true. I always tell to my clients, they think, like this happened to me. I was like, okay, you cannot, prevent events happening to you. And then sometimes they're like very big trauma. Exactly. But And then you have the decision to be the victim or to get out of it and try to get better out of it and, feel happier. So this is where it's like for every coaching, I think, or therapy, it's really hard to be able to do that.
Yeah,
but,
because they think, most people want, what we call a magic bullet. I just want to do one thing and everything will be sorted out. But you can't, because being human is complex. You have to clear these 4 dimensions, and then you will learn how to clear them yourself, to be aware of them. That's the first step, is awareness. As you said, to acknowledge, I'm unhappy, I'm not getting what I want. That's the first step. Then you can go in and build that pyramid. And if you continuously watch it, you will save time instead of having downtime and feeling miserable or getting depressed and wasting months and weeks away. Then you can get up, get back on track, and really move forward. And you know what else you will notice? That there is less drama. Did you notice that once you're aware of how your life is going, there's no need for drama to tell you where you're at. Everything slots in the right place. So the ultimate goal is for us to be happy, to live in joy, and to live with ease without having to struggle all the time, because it's really exhausting, this struggle.
Yeah, it's more.
It's not meant to be.
Exactly. So basically, you're peeling all the layers to get the real person out there, and then to be really accountable for their actions and their step to heal and to get better, which is quite amazing. We're about to take our first break. We're talking with Sahar Hunaidi Palmer, who is an intuitive psychic, whatever word you prefer,
intuitive
life mentor who unboxes the real you and help you connect with your inner senses. We're going to take a little break and come back just after.
You're listening to Say Yes, Be Happy. To reach our show today, we invite you to phone in to 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. Or send an email to bvg@thebond-vivantgirl.com. Now, back to Say Yes, Be Happy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nathalie Botros, your host, and I'm talking with Sahar Hunaidi Palmer about unboxing your life, basically about peeling every aspect of your life to find the real you and to connect with your inner senses. Just before the break, we were talking about her method, unboxing the real you, and also her 4 dimensions, the BEMA, which are the body, emotions, mind, and accountability to actions. And during the break, actually, we were talking if she had any increase in demands of help during COVID. She said, obviously, but you were telling us that you had also companies reaching out to you.
Yes. A client of mine called, an old client of mine called, and she heads a company, all-female company. And she said, all my employees are down, we're all feeling down. We don't know how to cope. What can you do? So I said, great. And I came up with this video course, 15-day video course, and we called it Unbox Homestay. So you do the video on your own, you get a video every day, and then we meet once a week for live Q&A to teach them some tools and see how they feel. The course was so successful that I also sold it to another company. And that's the reason why I started Unbox Academy, because people had enough of going to Zoom meetings in lockdown. They're sitting down all the time. So I've put it on the Academy, so that way whenever you want, at your convenience, you can go and watch it at your own pace. Because one of the things I've noticed, things have changed, after COVID. It's not the same world. I don't mean in any obvious way, but also in the subtle ways. The rhythm is different. What your body wants to do is different. The way you work is different. So, we need to adjust to all of that. And the Academy, a year ago, I started it, I think. It came at the right time. So you just go there. Maybe you're out of work. Maybe you're not earning money right now. So you can go and watch these videos and watch these webinars. And I do a free webinar once a month. I did with my colleague, Nathalie Khalaf. We did that for that purpose, that people simply were so disoriented. And if you notice this year, every month, there's a theme that we're all dealing with. First, relationships came up. And then jobs came up. And then, oh, I don't want a job. What can I do on my own came up. And then the intricacies of living at home, you feel pushed. You have to get up and do something. And then you ask yourself, well, what is it? Is that important? So we're addressing core values. So it's a lot of inner work. Whereas before COVID, we were busy reacting to the outside world.
It's true. Actually, COVID kind of forced us to reinvent ourselves to
Yes.
I know a lot of people, as you said, who left their job, who started doing their own thing. I mean, some people now that like we're going back physically to work, like a lot of people don't want to go back because they want to be creative. I see a lot of relationships coming up because like during COVID, they were like concentrating, which is one of me. I mean, it's my case because like I didn't have all the busyness of life and I could concentrate on finding love, basically.
You are forced to look inside.
Exactly.
Internal world, in your inner life, and you are forced to look at, okay, what's bothering me? What can I do? What needs to be done that I didn't have time to do before?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, actually, when everything started opening, I was like, ooh, like the overwhelming feeling started again. Exactly. Because like I had like so much time to do everything I really, really wanted and creating like new things that it was a little stressful when everything started opening.
And I was so pleased. I think this week, few countries, European countries, decided that the working week is 4 days, not 5. So that people can spend more time at home with their families, doing what they want to do, carrying on with their hobbies. So this is a huge shift, and I hope it will catch on.
I know that some companies, they do like half virtual, half in real, which is great, I think, because like people got in such a new organization that rechanging everything, and we don't know what's going to happen with all these variants. It's like better to be open to every possibility.
And what's even stranger? It's probably during lockdown or because of COVID, for the first time, they had to spend so much time with their children or even with their partner, and facing that, I read an article in the New York Times, I think. It's like 30% of people divorced because they've just met themselves for the first time in lockdown. Or if in lockdown they were living together, it pushed them to decide, do we want to get married? So they got married, and the third are trying to kind of figure out what we're going to do. So it really changed our lives from the inside and the outside. And that created the demand for coaches, mentors, to help people cope inside, but also in the outside world.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's true. So while we were talking, you talked about Unbox Academy. It's we can. Does it have a lot of class? Yeah, tell me a bit about it.
It's an online platform. So you join in from my main website. Membership is free for life. There are a lot of webinars in English mostly, but there are few in Arabic because in Dubai, people ask me to speak in Arabic, which I never did before, but now I do. So there are few webinars in Arabic, webinars in English. And in lockdown, I started something called Unbox Coffee Break. So I would just go live and, I'll talk to my clients and my community and my followers, we answer questions. It was so amazing. It brought us all together. It was important for my own sanity, but also it worked for them. So all these Unbox Coffee Breaks, we want to talk about relationships. We want to talk about disappointments. How do I cope with an abusive partner or whatever? All of these Unbox Coffee Breaks are there. And there's a flagship course about how to create a sustainable relationship, which is really a lot of self-awareness. How do you prepare for a lasting relationship? That webinar is free. It's in the academy, and it comes with a meditation, 30-day visualization to help you attract the right mate in your life, because this is such a big issue. Love is at the center of all of us. And, the emotional stability gives you other stability, financial, creative stability, etc. You begin to fit in the world. So I'm like, okay, let's deal with that. All of these resources are there on the Unbox Academy, and I'm building it up as well, because I teach master classes on understanding the language of your dreams. I teach classes on using the tarot as a tool for self-development, not just prediction. And These will be workshops on the Academy as soon as I finish my book. But there's quite a lot on the Academy, and I would really encourage anyone to go there. Leave me a message if there's something of interest in particular, that your listeners want to know about or do. Again, the membership is free for lifetime.
That's great. We're going to talk about your book, but before I want to talk about, you said something, dreams. So how do you help with dreams? Because there are some times where I dream so much, so intensively. And they're like, sometimes
you need to write your dreams down. Yeah. From your date of birth, from your numerology, nothing to do with astrology. Yeah. This is numerology, like who you are on a vibrational level. You have that innate ability of using or receiving guidance to your subconscious. What that means is you will get a lot of guidance in your dreams. So start a dream journal. Everyone has got their own dream journal. So when we speak, because you're a life coach, when we speak of awareness, self-awareness, what is that awareness? It's bringing together the conscious as well as the unconscious. So it's no good just being aware here. You also need to be aware of what is in the back of your mind. What forms these beliefs? Why are you reacting that way? So dreams, understanding the language of your dreams, allows you to integrate the conscious with the subconscious, because anything that goes into our subconscious gets there consciously. It's whatever we say, whatever we do, but we're not aware of it, but it gets tucked in the subconscious. So working with the dreams allows you to understand your own language. It's no use looking it up on the internet. What does this mean? There are universal symbols, like if you dream of mobile phones, cellulars or telephone communication, that stands for communication, yes. But there will be, most of your dream will be mostly your symbols, your own language. So you need to understand, how did I make up that dream? And what is my vocabulary? And once you learn it, you begin to interpret your own dreams. So for example, Nathalie, like the big decisions in life, I sleep on, literally. I ask for a dream and I sleep on them. And I see how I feel when I get up, or what dream do I get? And then I act, because then I want to work both with my conscious and subconscious.
So, but because, like when we dream and then something comes out, we just check like on the phone, we Google, like I dreamt about, I don't know, getting lost. And then like we have all the different explanations. But do you think that for each person, the explanation of each dream, it's different? Yeah. So we should keep a journal and a dream journal so we can compare together? What do you advise?
It's one journal. I call it like a dream journal. You put the date down and you ask your brain what you want answers on. Yeah, because the brain is always working. The job of our brains is to find answers. Yeah, that's we are built that way. It's already wired in. Yeah. The job of the brain is to understand past experiences so it can predict the future and make sure that you're safe by taking the right decisions. So while you're sleeping, the brain is also working and it's communicating, and you will get it in a dream. So you write a question down, you put the date down, and you say, please, for example, this is what I do. Please give me a dream on blah, 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 which I will remember when I wake up. And then as I fall asleep, I keep repeating that question in my mind and I just drift to sleep. So I'm telling my brain, focus on this issue. If you're not used to working with your dreams, maybe you will not get a dream for a day or 2 or 3. But I promise you, after the 3rd day, you will. Why? Because your brain, something happens when the brain sees what's on your mind. So when you write the question down and you read it and it sees your intention and you have a good, journal next to you, what I do is I trick myself. So I have a very nice looking journal and I have an amazing pen, and that makes me look forward to writing things down. Yes. So I started journaling in 1992. What is that? Like nearly 30 years ago. And I have about 11 journals. Dream journals. And it's really funny because sometimes I'll have a funny dream and I'll think, oh, this doesn't mean anything. And my mentor, my former, teacher and friend, Maron Jose, used to say, write it down, Sahar, write it down. And I did. And then I'd look back, months, even years, and I'm like, oh my God, I dreamt about this. So dreams are important because you feel I'm in charge. I'm using my brain while I sleep and I want to find out what is bothering me. So whatever has not been processed, whatever you didn't have time to process, your brain, because you're relaxed, and this is when the brain's throws dramatic things at you because you're relaxed, you can deal with them. You'll get a nightmare, for example.
Yes.
Don't dismiss it, because a nightmare is a big shout. Hey, deal with me. You know, you haven't dealt with this issue. I used to be terrified of nightmares, but really it's a very loud message that says, pay attention to this. You know, there's something that you're afraid of, and it doesn't have to be a negative meaning. It just means this has not been processed, you know, look into it. So the nightmare has unusual images, dramatic images, so that you can remember the message when you wake up, so that you can become conscious. Yeah. You know, one of my guides told me consciousness can only change with the application of consciousness. So you have to be awake, you have to be alive, you have to notice everything so that you can be totally aware, instead of, you know, walking around dazed and not really sure how life works and what to do. So dreams is a big part, you know, it's 30% of our life.
It's true. But, you know, like talking about nightmares, sometimes like if I have not a nightmare, kind of a bad dream, you know, like I try to understand why I have it. For example, I lost my father almost 30 years ago, and I would never, I rarely dream about my father, but lately we found, you know, those real tapes. And then like I've been editing all these and putting them in videos. So I see him a lot. So lately I saw him in my dream, and I'm like, oh my God, I can see you in my dream. I said, let me take a picture of you before, you know, so I have like new ones and film you. And then by the time I find the phone, he leaves, and I know that he's going to die again. So this, I think, like, do I have to like really look into it? Or like I watched so many videos that I'm kind of like in this.
No, of course it could be. You brought the memory forward in your mind because you've been working on all these tapes, right? But it is a sincere communication from your father. You know, whatever your father stood for, or maybe you've missed him, or maybe you've had no closure. So in a way, he's telling you, I'm here with you, I'm watching. And it helped you to bring that memory forward and to process maybe the fact that I miss him, or the fact he really passed away 30 years ago. I think my dad also has been almost, you know, gone for 30 years. And it takes time, you know, to accept it and to feel, okay, no, that he's alive in my memories, in my heart. And I think this is what brought that forward in your mind as a dream. So he disappeared because it isn't important to take a picture. So that the message was, okay, we made a connection, you know, I remember him, you brought that memory forward, you relived it. Possibly it brought a lot of happy memories, because
of course, but he was smiling, he was like, you know, like I was laughing, and it was like, let me, you know, like in the dream, you sometimes conscious in your dream, like, okay, let me film it so I can hear his voice. And then like, because not all of these movies, they were like mute, you know, they were like without any sound. But it makes sense.
We call that a lucid dream. When you're aware that you're dreaming, it's fantastic. And you are, because of the 2 in your birthday. So lucid dreaming is amazing. And you know, you can change the dream if you're aware that you're dreaming. So if it is a nightmare, you can go back into it and change it. Why? Because dreams are from the brain, you know, it's a thought. So when you change that thought to a positive one, like say you met, I don't know, a beast and you're really scared, close your eyes and go back to that dream, or pretend that you do, and change it and see the beast shrinking and see it as a cartoon character and see yourself slaying it, you know? All of these are symbols that communicate to yourself, to your subconscious, okay, I can overcome that obstacle. So I really invite you to look at your dreams, but even your nightmares. Some nightmares are really chemical. I know when I tried to stop smoking a long time ago to use these nicotine patches, they are chemical, obviously. They overstimulated my brain, and I was having nightmares every day. And then my cousin, who's a neurosurgeon, said, oh, please stop using them. So they were not suitable for me, but they stimulated all these nightmares, which were basically about little fears that I never addressed. And this is when my teacher said, don't ignore your nightmares. You know, whatever reason you had them for, you need to look into it. And it's so empowering, I can't tell you, because you really... Of
course it is, definitely.
Layer by layer, until... I mean, today's talk is about connect with the inner senses. How do we connect with our inner senses? By working with the 4 dimensions of change, when you are in alignment, at the top of that pyramid, I have a star that I call our guiding star. So that star is your inner senses, your intuition that guides you so that you never feel lost. You know, by working with your body, releasing the trauma of the physical body, relaxing the physical body. You know that the brain upgrades itself in our sleep. It is made that way. It is
That's
made to get
amazing.
rid of negative, neurocircuits, negative beliefs. This is where the hormones build themselves. So the more hormones you build, the better longevity you have and quality of life. I mean, I didn't know all of these things 2 years ago. So it's so important to sleep, just to relax the body so that emotions, thoughts, everything begins to tick the right way.
That's amazing. We're going to take our second break, and I want to talk more about this because I have questions coming in as well about dreams.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
We're talking with Sahar about unboxing the real you, and we're just finishing the subject on dreams. We will continue when we come back after the break.
You're listening to Say Yes, Be Happy. To reach our show today, we invite you to phone in to 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. Or send an email to bvg@thebon-vivantgirl.com. Now, back to Say Yes, Be Happy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Nathalie Botros, and I'm talking with Sahar Huneidi Palmer about unboxing the real you and connecting with your inner senses. Just before the break, we're talking about dreams and the importance of the dreams and the nightmares. And I have to add something. For me, the nightmares, the best way to deal with them, it's to face the enemy,
Absolutely.
big, and then they will disappear. Like when you feel that there's someone attacking, I just turn and look at them and then they disappear. So it's really conquering your fear. I have a question coming in. The subject of keeping a journal on dreams is brilliant. And then to process the content is amazing. How to do this?
So you put the date down. It's very important because when you go back to it, you can relate the dream life to real life. So when you get the dream, you can put DL, like dream life, and you describe what has happened in the dream. To begin with, you may just get feelings. Some people wake up with colors, or they wake up feeling happy. Whatever it is, write it down for 3 days. Then when your brain gets used to it, you'll get bigger segments of the dream. And if you don't get answers right away, rephrase the question from a different angle. And, poke your brain basically, and you will get a dream. 1 day or 2 days a week on the weekend, don't work with dreams. Just ask for a fun dream, a holiday dream, whatever, a love dream, just have a break basically. That is also interesting, but it's nurturing. Especially in lockdown, I asked for a lot of holiday dreams. and you really feel refreshed when you come back, because you've had that holiday. Then you look at your dream and highlight literally the important words. This could be people. It could be the meaning of the name. It could be whatever, communication, car, driving, flying, these things. And then if it's people, when you dream of other people, they also represent an aspect of you. It's like you dreamt of your father. What does your father stand for in your mind in one word?
Missing him, love. I'm missing him,
Yeah. So the dream is about your father, but it's also about you missing him. So your brain is telling you, okay, I'm with you, you missed your father, but he's really with you. So that's a message, whatever you were doing, remembering him and looking at the tapes and whatever, it really fulfilled something within you. So the message has reached the brain, and therefore your dream came to you in that message. So you begin to kind of make up your own dictionary,
Of course.
And as I said earlier, there are universal symbols, but few, but mostly you are making those symbols because your brain is putting together what is meaningful for you, what has left an imprint in your mind, and these pieces make up the dream. So it's really no good looking at on the internet. Water means emotions. If the water is clear, then you're clearing your emotions. If the water is murky, then you're confused, whether about someone or about a phase that you're going through in your life. A lot of times people feel they're going to the bathroom. It's totally normal. It just means you're getting rid of rubbish. Literally, you're detoxing. Like they're even embarrassed to talk about it, but it's not embarrassing. That's your brain telling you you need to detox, or you're doing it. It could be detoxing by removing people who are really toxic in your life. So it could be a symbol for that. So that's why you always write one line of what's happening in real life. Like for you, you would write, I was cleaning the tapes, about my father when I had that dream. Then you'll begin to see what were you thinking about and what was your brain thinking about. And then if you keep doing that over a month, you will develop your own symbols, for your dreams. You will understand your own dictionary.
So I have a question from someone who says, she's single, and she says, if I write finding the right man, will I dream about him in my dreams?
Yes.
And I really?
Listen to the meditation, which I have, and watch the webinar, because you have to prepare yourself. The right person will not come into your life if you don't have the right energy to match his, or the right frequency. But also, I kind of came up with this process called a dream wheel. So you have 5 days in the week, draw a circle and cut it into 5 sectors, and prepare a question for each night from a different way. So question number 1 would be, what do I need to do to prepare for meeting the right person? Question number 2 can be something else. Where are we going to meet, for example? Or what is important about this relationship? Or what is holding me back? Or, what is blocking me, or whatever. You ask the question from a different way. So by the time you've had that for 5 days, your mind already has the intention of understanding, that you really want the partner, you're ready, and will give you an indication of what's holding you back. So and if you don't get answers, it could be like you're too excited. So just let it go, leave it for a week, come back, but I promise you, you will get dreams.
Okay, I hope this answered your question, the person who asked. That's great. I mean, it's true that finally the dreams, it's our unconscious, so it's part of us. So we have to listen to them,
I remember, when I met my husband, I remember the first time when he left his camera behind. He actually went into my bedroom and left his camera in my wardrobe. And that really shocked me, because that was for me an invasion of privacy. And I called him. I said, you left your camera? And he said, yes. And I said, what do you mean? And he says, make space for me. You have no space for me in your life. And I thought, oh my God, so I cleared a shelf symbolically. And so what I mean is, you have to prepare yourself. You prepare the container and then the content flow. So you want that person, the right person, to come into your life, whether a man or a woman. Make room for it. Prepare, look good, feel good, clear your space, make the space welcoming, whether for a man or a woman, So don't kind of over project your own personality that leaves no place for another person to go navigate their life with you. So a lot of it is that work. And then the person will come in.
I think you have to make, yourself available emotionally, physically, you have to really be open to it and not just say, I want someone, be ready for it.
Yes.
To be able to receive it.
Because it could be something very small that's holding you back. Sometimes it's often we are afraid somebody's going to take our independence away.
Of course.
But when you realize, why would they? If they're the right person, they will help me be a better person. So why am I worrying about somebody taking? But you have to know what it is before you can let it go. So the dreams can help you find out, what is holding you back in a gentle way.
Yeah. So talk us about your future projects. I know that you're about to give the transcript of your book, and you have another book. Tell us a little bit about all this.
Well, a few weeks ago, I've just recently relaunched my podcast, and I was very busy trying to work on the podcast and so on. And I heard from a UK publisher. I saw on LinkedIn that they announced launching a series of books. And I looked at the series and they didn't have one on the tarot. So I just left a message. I said, do you have a book on the tarot? And a few months later, which is a few weeks ago, they answered me saying, yes, actually, it's time. We need a new book on the tarot, which is different from what we have. And I said, my angle is that the tarot is not only for prediction, but it's a tool for self-development. So the working title at the moment is the tarot as a self-transformation tool. And I think it'll be a different book because in it, I explain the journey of the Fool, which is the first tarot card, and it's numbered 0. So this is our hero. He starts from 0 and then he becomes a hero at the end. He's totally transformed. So it's the different stages that we have to go through. And if you look deeply into the tarot, it actually tells you what you need to develop. And it's all about balance. Because you are, beings of duality. You have yes or no, female or male, logic or intuition, spirituality or materialism, and all conscious and unconscious. And all of these aspects are depicted in the Fool's journey. All of these have to be in balance. Even love, how much do we love? Do we obsess? Do we get codependent? All of that needs to be in balance. So the journey is about self-transformation. As soon as you think, oh, I know it all, I'm done, that's it. No, there'll be a drama or a trauma that kind of wakes you up and says, hey, you need to polish up. You need to get rid of old beliefs. You need to get rid of the how you see yourself, the old self, the identity. Because sometimes we can over-identify with ourselves, which stops us from finding out the real you. So it came at the right time that I'm linking, the whole purpose is to be the real you. What is your true essence? What's different about you? And it's a journey of individuation because the Fool is trying to find out who he is. And in the end, you understand he's not actually a fool. He's a very courageous character because he goes into the unknown. He doesn't know what will happen. And he faces all this drama in his life. So hopefully it will be an inspiring book that inspires you to take courage in understanding what happens in life and what it is that you need to know or understand in order to really make the best of your life.
That's amazing. I cannot wait to read that book.
I'll definitely send you a copy, Nathalie. It's out in March. Ooh. And then 2 days ago, really, I'm over the moon. They've surprised me that they've commissioned me to write another book, which is like a huge, big coffee table book on the tarot for intermediate, so maybe that can be a beginner's book. And then we go into more details, more pictures in the bigger book. So I'm really, really excited.
That's amazing.
It's just funny for me to come back to the tarot, 30 years later.
But, refresh. Cycle of life, as you say. And
to see it, as not separate from what I do. Because what I do as a life mentor is to help people become more aware. And I began to see that the tarot is a creative way, which is why I want to really teach it, because it's a creative way to get you to think out of the box and to see yourself in the cards as pictures. And then it's not so personal. And then that allows you to understand something about yourself, And it really triggers your imagination. Yeah, it's an interesting journey.
And I think you have a different look at it because you took some time back and then looking at it again, it's a different look. Tell us where everybody can find you and, can have access to Unbox Academy, your readings and everything.
And let me know what you thought of this podcast. I really appreciate your comments and where you were watching us from. Yeah. On Instagram, it's at Sahar Palmer, or my main website is my maiden name, saharhunaidi.com. And I will always answer messages.
That's great.
Thank you, Nathalie.
So thank you for coming. And if people have still questions after this, I know that you were shy or you want to have a quick chat with Sahar, just contact. I will put her email address, her website down. And in the meantime, thank you for listening, everyone. And don't forget to show me some love on Apple Podcasts, rate, comment. And I see you next week. We're going to talk about brain and how our brain can help us being happy. I'm going to have Dr. Porter, who's going to talk about his app, Brain Tab, and it's going to be really, really, really interesting as well. I'm going to say thank you for now and have an amazing week. Thank you again, Sahar, to be here. We have to do this again. And
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much. What do you have to lose? Say yes. Be happy.